Greetings. Recently, about maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago at this point, I started watching the show InuYasha just because it was in my queue, planned on watching it anyways, so I figured, might as well start another anime out of the probably 6 or 7 that I have already, that I'm already watching. But, I figured in between Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out and also the new season of Mob Psycho 100, I figured I would try to pound out or as binge as many episodes of InuYasha as I possibly could. So currently on episode 15, and I think it's a good show. It's a very good show. I like the style of animation. I like how each episode is, they don't drag anything out. They just sort of like, this is the problem for this episode, this is how we're going to solve it, climax, and then it all gets resolved at the end. And so each episode kind of, I feel, while being a part of a larger plot, I feel that each episode could also be independent of each other, because it's sort of like somewhat independent episodes, I guess. I don't know if that's the right terminology to use, but I definitely like the character development in the first 14, 15 episodes of the show. How Kagome and InuYasha sort of are now kind of, starting to rely on each other a little bit more. Regardless of whether they realize it or not. Well, InuYasha doesn't really realize it, but I think he's slowly starting to realize that Kagome is an important player in his side of the story, as well as InuYasha being a very important character to Kagome's side of the story as well, which kind of how that goes. So this show is about 22 years old at this point, and I think it is an absolute classic show. Just one of the 2000s was sort of like, I want to say like the mid to late 2000s was like the end of hand-drawn animation. I think in about 2010 or 2011 they kind of went to all like digital animation. So I think InuYasha is definitely one of the last is in the era of shows. It's like the last hand-drawn animated shows. I mean, I'm pretty sure could still be some hand-drawn shows, hand-animated shows, but they're definitely not as, it's much easier to draw, to animate from the point of view of making a show. I think it's a lot easier to produce a digital animation rather than a actual like physical hand-drawn animated show or movie. Not that people don't do both ways, but personally I like the style of the hand-drawn, hand-animated shows, because it's more of an art form to me that way. Especially look at Akira movies like that, where each cell, each scene, like, has so much detail put into it. Probably, well, not unnecessary detail, but it's just like the amount of work that went into like animating just one small section of that film was just astonishing. And like that, it's like Akira is like one of the like regarded as like one of the greatest anime films of all time, outside of Studio Ghibli, which, I mean, I think Studio Ghibli, you can kind of, Studio Ghibli films are definitely, I think, up there for a lot of people, as well as Akira, for the reason that, like, it is so detailed for being a hand-drawn and hand-animated film, and that's what I love. And especially when the artists, I mean, not to say that artists can't put detail into a, digital animation, a computer animation, but it's just like when artists take that extra time to make a hand-drawn animation like more detailed than it has to be, that's what I absolutely love. And it's nothing against computer animation, CGI. A lot of good has come out of that. But there's also, the 2016 Berserk that I don't think I have to go into any more detail about to let people know how bad CGI can be at times. But to each person their own. Just because I prefer the hand-drawn animation doesn't mean that digital animation is bad. But back to the show, I think it's great. I think it's a great show. Like I said, it's a classic. It's, to me, it's regarded as a classic. It's just a really great show. The chemistry between the two main characters, Kagome and InuYasha, I feel is great. It's perfect. The storyline so far is awesome. Is really good. It's very consistent. Well, there was one episode where Shippo wasn't in when he was probably should have been in, but it's a really enjoyable show. If you haven't seen it yet, you probably should put it on your list if you're into sort of like, I would categorize it as an isekai, sort of, because, I mean, Kagome can go between the feudal era Japan and her own time, so it's, I guess, an isekai. So if you're into isekai anime, I would definitely give InuYasha a watch if you're into that sort of thing. So thank you for watching this video till the end, and until next time, peace.